In the West, we have a very peculiar view of music. We have the idea that the musician plays the music and the composer writes the music. But really, it doesn't work like that at all. Music plays the musician, and the test of any good music, in a practical way, is when you can't tell whether the musician is playing the music or the music is playing the musician.
Greetings. Welcome back to Your Blue Dreamer broadcast. This is Dr. I coming through with a new blue speak. Today I've got on a Mr. Luke Henshaw of a band called Planet B, and also Sonido De La Frontrera, and I'm sure many other things that we're going to find out about. How you doing, brother?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Respect. So let me start with this. I had on a friend, a mutual friend, Jason Manuel.
Mm-hmm.
I had him on a month or so ago, and he basically, I'd asked him, like, do you know anybody else that maybe would be down to do an interview, and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't get back to me for like a couple weeks, and he was like, oh, I thought of somebody, and he brought you up. And he was
right
like,
on.
yeah, he was like, it would be cool for you to talk to him because I want to hear his story. And I was like, all right, cool, respect to that, dude. So yeah, I hit you up and you were down. So I appreciate that for sure.
Hell yeah.
So I definitely got some questions. I usually make a list of things I want to hit on, but what really, I had heard of Sonido before because, I'm a fan of Carlos too. I've been in the
Mm-hmm.
B-side player since I was in high school and shit. And so I've known about him. And when I heard Sonido, I was just like, oh, dude, that's crazy. Like, and then when I saw like the videos of you that you guys had recorded and stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw you pushing buttons, I was like, oh shit, okay, this is some real shit, like something different. I totally dug it. I was all about it. And so it was cool that connection because I think he's, he likes Planet B a lot, and I hadn't heard it until I kind of started digging into you
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I just love what you do, dude. It's sick, and especially in Sonido, it really tripped me out that you had sampled accordion and you're playing it on an MPC, and I was like, all right, that's that. I had never really seen that. I'm into sample culture.
Yeah.
I'm into production, and I'm into a lot of that shit. But when I saw what you were doing, I was like, wow, I don't know, it just hit me as a little different, and I thought that was super fucking cool, man. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to talk about all that shit.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Ask away. Anything.
yeah, respect. So I like to start like this, basically start at the top. When did music hit you? Like what age, what experience, what songs, whatever. Like when did it really tap into you where you were like, I want to be a part of this. I want to put in my 2 cents and say something in that
I
way,
mean, I think it just kind of evolved in a way.
Yeah.
I always liked music. I mean, from a kid, but I think in the second grade,
Yeah.
my dad took me to go. We bought those little plastic little turntables that
Yeah.
would play records.
Yeah.
And this was out in Riverside, so there was a company called like Best or something, like not Best Buy,
Yeah.
but or I think it was called Jimco. And I knew that when I would come home after school every day, I'd always watch. They would always have like this VHS show
Yeah.
where it was showing like the new music, and then afterwards they would show like what's happening and what's happening. I was a fucking huge fan of.
Yeah.
And then like New Edition was like coming out.
Oh yeah.
And so my dad took me out to go buy my first record, and that's what it was, New Edition, Mr. Telephone Man.
Fuck yeah. That's sick,
Yeah.
dude. That's crazy. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I have an older sister and an older brother, so I grew up with that stuff too, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're 10 and 8 years apart, so I was
Oh wow.
the child, the baby, you know. But I grew up.
I'm the baby too. So
There you go. But I
yeah.
grew up with all that shit, all the '80s pop, and
Hmm.
late '70s, '80s into the late '80s and '90s pop, and so it's just as much a part of what I do even now, still in a way that
Yeah.
And then growing up with my brother that was into hip hop and breakdancing
Hmm.
and shit, that was another a layer that just
Yeah.
stayed with me.
Yeah. And diversity through music.
Yeah. So yeah. So did you get into any instruments or take any lessons or any shit like that?
No, it wasn't. It was so I was about 6 or 7 at
Okay.
that time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in the 5th grade
Yeah.
that I was introduced to heavy metal.
Okay.
And then like my brother and I and a few friends around the neighborhood decided like we were gonna start some fucking heavy metal band.
Okay.
And since I was the youngest, I got demoted to bass, as you know.
That's funny.
But my dad bought me the bass,
Oh, yeah.
and they never bought their instruments,
Yeah.
and I just stuck to it and fell in love with Iron Maiden, and
Fuck yeah. Yeah. So
went from there.
what band like really got you into metal? Like what was the first
It was
band?
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
Everyone was Metallica, and I was like, nah,
Yeah.
Iron Maiden for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah.
it was even like my dad took me to lessons, and the music teacher was some fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
And one day we had these new neighbors moving in, and is that peach flavor?
Yeah.
My neighbors, a new neighbor moved in, and I was loading my bass to go to my music lesson in the back of my dad's truck.
Yeah.
And the new neighbor was like, "Oh, is that a bass?" Explained, blah blah blah. We're going to music lessons.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll teach your son for free."
Oh, nice. Fuck yeah.
And he was into Iron Maiden. He was older.
Hell
And
yeah.
he was into Iron Maiden and all kinds of metal, Judas Priest and all
Yeah.
that shit. And I was like, my dad asked me, "Do you want to go to your music lesson, or do you want to hang out with the fucking neighbor?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Let's hang out with the neighbor."
Hell yeah. Yeah, for free. And he showed you some
and
shit. Yeah.
and it was all hands on. Yeah.
Dope. Fuck yeah, dude.
Um,
Nothing beats free, dude. That's for sure.
Yeah. Nowadays too.
Yeah, exactly. All the time. Shit. Dope. So obviously, you're into sampling and so hip hop, when did hip hop hit you? Like after that or
Hip hop came. There was a huge transition into music that happened way in between that. There's so much music that
For
came
sure.
in between the metal and hip hop.
Yeah.
But hip hop came. It had always been there, but it came during like high school area. My brother took me over to my friend. Like, we had new friends, and
Yeah.
I just got introduced to turntables and turntablism and freestyle rapping and like the whole hip hop culture, the graffiti, everything. And I fell in love with the beats.
For sure.
Really, really heavy.
Yeah.
So
rhythms and shit,
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Kicks and snares.
Yeah.
And snares
Yeah.
all day.
All day. And
Mhm.
bass. And bass too.
Yeah.
For sure. So were you in any bands? Like, I mean, you said when you first started, did you keep playing in bands or?
Here and there, when I got into hip hop,
Yeah.
it was more about like crews. It wasn't about bands. It
Right.
was like you had your DJs, you had the graffiti, and I was kind of linked up with my buddy Disco Rick,
Okay.
and him and I started DJing and doing the beat thing and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then he was fucking best graffiti writer, best thing. Like
Fuck
he
it.
had the Thursday night. And then after a while, he was just like, him and Stunt Double pulled me aside and was like, "Yo, you want to join First Power Crew?"
First Power.
And I was like, "Yep, this is what I want."
Yeah.
And then we just started making beats, and
that's in San Diego. That was here.
yeah, that was right off of Myrna Boulevard.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Did you
Yeah.
guys have a place to like showcase? Were you doing shows?
We had a garage.
Okay.
And we had our Thursday night where everybody would come, and it was the best time ever.
That'd be the get down right there, right? Like the
Yep.
spot.
Every Thursday night for years.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. And what era was that? What years do you
This
think
was like 93
okay.
to
Early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And was there a point where you kind of just you were just stuck with hip hop, and or do you still play music like in bands, or are you more like
at that time I still always played guitar and always but it like all of the instrumentation kind of just took a backseat kind of thing to it.
Yeah.
But like my knowledge of music, especially with where I took my sound, kind of derived from like the history of like prog rock and all it from like metal to hip hop.
Yeah.
There was a big transition where I discovered a lot of music that when we started sampling, and a lot of people were like, oh, I'm going to sample James Brown. I'm going to sample this and that. Right. I was like, no, I'm going to sample fucking King Crimson.
Fuck yeah.
I'm going to sample Yes. I'm going to sample these bands because this is what it was just, I refused to kind of like, just go with what everyone was doing.
Yeah. Did people get what you were doing when you were started like putting that shit out? Like who like gravitated towards what you were doing, would you say at the time? Because that's pretty different, man. Everybody's doing the breakbeat shit and all that shit, but
I mean, it was still breakbeat shit, but it was like Mike Check from Roundtable MCs, DJ Mike Check, he was really big. Okay. He was going to the NAMM show from years back. Yeah. I think it was like 97. And we had done our first break album.
Okay.
And we knew that all the DJs were there, but at that time I didn't have access to get in, and he did.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, give this to fucking Qbert and D-Styles and all like the Invisible Scratch Pickles.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even have a fucking card or anything. It was just like with a Sharpie on the letter with the number.
Yeah.
And Qbert called back the very next day and was like, yo, what the fuck is this? And he was like, come up to San Francisco.
Fuck yeah.
And let's fucking work. So
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. That's so sick. That's so fucking sick, dude. I love that because I like I said, I've been into hip hop for a long time. Probably since I was like 5 years old because my brother and shit. And so I was into it, but it was that late 90s, early 2000s, like getting into like one of my all-time favorite documentaries is Scratch. I love fucking.
My beats are in there. I did some shit for that.
Oh shit! See, fuck, that's so cool, man. That's so dope. And I was very much into DJ Shadow, Cut Chemist, Z Trip, and all the fools that were in there. And I had gotten into production too. I was doing sampling and shit, and DJ'd and had vinyl and would sample, and but I feel like I don't know, not in any crazy capacity, but DJ Shadow definitely, when I was that age and listening to him when Introducing came out, and then I heard Preempt after the fact and all, and I was just like, fuck, dude, this is so, he made it sound like rock, like in a way. That's how I felt. I was like, oh, I want to kind of incorporate that. So I started getting more into like DAWs and sampling, and I was more so sampling in the DAWs as opposed to having hardware like an MPC. I bought an MPC 1000 at one point, but it shit out. It was like one of the first runs and it just fucking sucked. So I kind of left it. But I knew about chopping samples, and I used to use Acid Pro and fucking because you could burn MP3s, and I would just chop up everything, like Deftones, fucking At the Drive-In, and fucking just to like make it sound hip hop, but using their shit. And then I would go to shows and I would give them CDs and be like, "Here, I sampled your band. What do you know, check it out if you can." Just fucking, I didn't care. I was like, "Fuck it," you know. And so I still do, you know, beat production, and you know, everything to me is hip hop influence in some way. Even my rock music that I make, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's why it's cool that you do what you do, and then when I watch you, but then here, you know, that you know these dudes and you're connected in that way. So what's the difference? If I mean not difference, but what is how you use an MPC in comparison to how musicians use their instruments? Like what's, you know, how do you see it? Like, because to me, just the way I see you rock an MPC, just from the little things that I've seen in your video and shit, that's like your main instrument, I would say.
It's the same. It's basically like a key. I mean, because you have the 16 notes.
Yeah.
And you can pitch it. Like you just have to like. It's kind of hard to describe, but it acts like a keyboard. If I'm hitting a C note, like when I sample my sounds, I definitely will tune them to basically like my bass line is in C, then I tune the sample like with Sonido. I always tune the accordions. Yeah. So if my root note is at C, it's the same thing. The very next note is a C sharp, and the very next note. So you learn, instead of like as playing like a piano this way, you're playing it like this. So it's like, I don't know, it's like the 1, 3, 5, 7. Right. So I know exactly, like I navigate it like I would be doing a guitar or playing a piano. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And then once you have it all down, then you'll know where to go, and then where your octave is, and then I mean, it's pretty much the same thing to me. And I get people like that ask that all the time. Like when I post like any of those fucking videos or whatever, they're like, "Well, why don't you just play a keyboard?" And I'm like, "No, it is. This is that's what it is. But it's a keyboard with my own sounds programmed into it, right? Yeah, you know. So fuck off."
What was the first, you know, piece of hardware that you got? What? You know,
my first sampler
were you like SP and like old school shit and to the top?
My buddy Disco Rick, his mind was already set on the SP 1200
for sure,
and I was like, that's what I wanted. Yeah, but I was like, I'm not gonna copy him, and that his heart was set on that. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll go with something. So I went to in Sonic's EP the 16 plus, which was pretty much like a digital interface with the attached keyboard. And then before the warranty, before my the 30 days ran out, the dude that sold it to me, that Guitar Center, he was like, yo, check out the ASR 10. And he's like, everything's built in. And I fell in love with it because as far as sounds go, it was dope to play the keys. Yeah. But it wasn't until I noticed that my sound was getting it was soft. Okay. And it wasn't like as heavy as I wanted it to, because I was playing all of my samples on the keys. Right. So it wasn't until I was introduced to the MPC, the 2000 at the time. This was before the 2000 XL came out, that it had the pads, and I was able to thump on the pads, and it was like it helped me create the heavier sound.
Sorry, bro. Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Just basically the MPC 2000 allowed me, like the pads, it allowed me to be heavy with the sound, as opposed to like when you're playing the keys, you can't just bang on. Yeah. You know,
because it's got like a touch, like a sensitivity, right?
Yeah, and they'll break, or you know, I don't know. It's just it's a feel to it. You have to have a feel to it. And to me, the MPC at the time, it was the 2000. When the 2000 XL came out, then it was like love, you know. Yeah. But it was just the feeling of the pads to your fingers and being able to express the beats through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one thing that sucked when I got the MPC 1000 was it didn't have that like that sensitivity.
The little blue one.
Yeah, you had to get those little kind of
I fucking
bumpers
hated that.
and it sucked because
And now a lot of them, the pads are smaller. They're reducing the pad size. That's why I stick with my guns, because it's, I mean, fuck, dude, my hands are, like, I have trouble fucking texting.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same. Fuck yeah, that's so cool, man. Do you do production, like full production yourself? Like, do you do just like recording? Like, do you do recordings? Do you record yourself?
I record other bands. I do all of my band's recordings, and I produce a lot too.
Nice. Yeah, just in Pro Tools, everything Pro Tools, basically.
I mean, as far as the recording input is through Pro Tools.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, I wanted to know, like, how producing, sampled music especially like in Sonido or something, like, is there a difference in producing live music as in sampled music? I mean, do you have to treat it differently? Do you have to be aware of different things when you're recording samples in that way? You know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to live instrumentation.
I think live instruments are a little more sensitive because you have to dial in on the tone. You have like the quality, the depth, the warmth, all of this fucking description shit.
Yeah.
And then as far as importing samples into your recordings, you can be a little more experimental.
Yeah.
Then you can, if something doesn't like you, it's like you're working yourself out of a big turd, and you fine tune, do all this and that. As opposed to if I'm working with the guitar player, then you got to get the tone right and do.
Yeah, phase issues and sonics and all that shit. Yeah. So how do you choose your samples? Like, what are you? Basically, like, I made another note, like, how do you feel about the whole fucking like sampling, copyright, all that shit? Like,
I mean, I've been a little more lenient on what I'm about to tell you, but in the beginning, and for the most part of it now, I don't give a fucking shit about it, because I set my sample rate at so small and the sample time so small, you won't even recognize. I can sample your favorite fucking song and you will not recognize it. So I don't give a fucking shit about the fucking record companies and all that lawsuits. Fuck them.
Yeah, it's bullshit, like.
I mean, I would get it if you're making, like, if it's
16 bar loops or something of some shit.
Totally. You're sampling Usher's fucking hit, and then now you're making all that off of it. I'd be like, hey, what the fuck? But I do it as a form to just manipulate sounds and try to make it as unrecognizable as possible.
Yeah, like my method, just for myself, the way I like to do it is I usually just take intro parts from different songs, just single instruments, like a guitar riff or, even parts of drums, a single kick, a single snare, things like that, and just chop it all up and then put it all. I don't like to sample like breaks. I don't like to sample loops. I like to sample instruments and then my own beat with my own instruments. I make it like a band. That's how I like to approach it.
It's a good trick is if you grab a record and you find one little kick or sample from it, then put that fucking record away and don't use anything from that until your next session, and bring in, like, if I sample a kick from one record, sample a snare from a whole different record, and sample your hi-hat from a whole different record, and sample your tones. Like, don't go digging through that whole album and being like, because
you can always bring it together.
It's worked out for a lot of fucking bands. I know,
Sure.
but to me, I'm like, nah, that's like, I like to make it as like disguisable as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I treat it like a band.
Because I don't want to get sued.
Oh, that too, yeah.
I'm kidding.
I mean, if you're making money off it, then fuck,
There's no money involved in any of this shit.
Yeah, exactly. But even with that, that's why I don't. It's like it's just music, bro. Like, who cares? I mean, unless it's completely noticeable. Yes, I understand, but still, even then, it's like, who fucking cares, dude? Like, if it's some $1 million fucking huge ass artist, they're making more money than this small ass little hip hop fucking whatever the fuck, So I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, once I got into DJ Shadow and actually saw when what video? I think it was on Scratch, right? At the end they did pushing buttons. You know that routine that he did with Newmark and Cut Chemist?
I do know the routine. I don't know where it where it landed.
Yeah, but once I saw that, then I was like, oh fuck, like I don't know, that shit kind of twisted my cap a little bit. I was like, that's so cool that they're doing. I mean, it was the same thing that the invisible scratch pickles are doing on vinyl in a way. Like, one's the drum, one's an instrument, and one's the bass or whatever the fuck. But then they were doing it on MPCs, and I was like, oh fuck, that's so cool, man. And they're just running a routine on samplers. I thought that was so cool and different, especially in that time in the early 2000s. It was a trip to see. And I even tried to do it once I got the MPC in a way, like a one man, like I had one turntable, a fucking, a drum pad, and then I had the MPC and was trying to do all this shit, and then on a laptop, and it was too much, dude. It was too much chaos. Yeah. But being in bands, for so long, I was trying to write songs in that way. That's kind of how I saw what they were doing, was like, oh, they're making a song like live, like a live band in a way. And I just thought that was so fucking cool. It's so different, Yeah. And then what I saw what you're doing in Sonido was, it hit me in that same vein, It was just like, oh, he's, you guys do it. Have you done it live? Have you guys play? I don't know. I've never seen you guys, but.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we play live.
And what is the instrumentation when you guys do it live?
It's obviously Carlos Paez singing.
Yeah.
And then DJ Unite is running all the drum tracks and the backing tracks through. He's just pretty much, he's the DJ.
Yeah.
So he's just pretty much he's DJing all the tracks. And then I'll take all the accordions and different sounds, and then I'll play them through the MPC. And then I have another little Kai pad that I run all the accordions through. So I use that one just for the accordions.
Yeah. Do you run a laptop or anything, or is everything?
Yeah, I run that pad. I just the accordion, and then all the other through the MPC is all of the other samples I use.
Yeah. So going from like basically like the MPC all self-contained, and you're using those discs to like bring up samples and stuff, and then you get the like the extension and all that shit, like were you using just strictly that for a time, or
Oh yeah,
because you weren't incorporating a laptop or anything at that point. That was way before that shit.
This just barely came about.
Yeah,
because I just found like an accordion, like it's strictly, I use that thing for just one particular sound.
Yeah.
And it was just an
it's
accordion
like a pack,
program.
like a pack or something that just is on.
Yeah, it's an accordion thing that just has a really bright sound and really lively.
Yeah.
And it doesn't slow down the speed of the sounds, as opposed to when you're sampling, if you're up here on the high A and then you try to go to the octave, it slows the wave down.
Right.
So with that, when I'm doing all like the accordion solos and shit like that, it's because it showed when you're using the MPC, if you're like going from the high A to the lower octave, it kind of just,
it's a little latency fucking.
Yeah, and it just, not necessarily the latency, it was just the wavelength.
When you're pitching it,
slows down. And then if you go to the third and to the five, like all the wavelengths are different.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with. That's why I always sample in like medium range, because then you have access to go low and high.
Yeah.
But if you sample in like the low range, your high is going to just get shot straight up. That where it'll just, I don't know. It's my brain.
Yeah. How do you feel about incorporating more digital though? Like, does it give you more problems?
I'm not opposed to it, but I like the art of the sample, and I like the art of like just what I do. I'm not opposed to it. If there was something that like sparked my eye to it, I would definitely. I'm into it. I'm into a lot of the new technology, but am I into it to applying it to myself and my music?
Yeah.
Not really so much right now, but maybe later.
Yeah. Like if it ain't broke, why you
Yeah. Well, my shit's broke. But I managed to work with it. I don't care. I like working on broken shit.
Your MPC's broken?
I like broken buttons.
Oh, okay.
So
you got a couple like not responding or something?
I mean, I have to replace those pads every year because I hit them so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Put fucking miles on that shit. And how long have you had it for? You have an MPC 2000 now? Is that what you XL? Or?
Yeah, I mean, in Planet B, I played with 2 of them.
Okay.
So.
And why is that? Why do you use 2? What are you doing? A beat on one and then live?
Yeah, different sounds. They're triggering from left to right.
Okay.
And
yeah.
So I could play drums on one and a bass line on the other, or, because you only get 16 pads per.
Yeah. And how did Planet B come around? How did that start?
Obviously with our singer Justin Pearson, I just had met him through, some mutual douchebag.
Yeah.
And we just started off with like some remix that he was working on, and we just clicked. We became friends and it clicked, and then we had Gabe Serbian in the lineup, and it just kind of just worked, and we worked on the first album.
Nice. And how did the style come about? What was the, because when I hear it, like I made some notes. I always make little notes, but obviously to me, like Death Grips kind of comes out of it in a little bit, like, or like, actually one of the songs, the variations in the key of that song. Like when I heard that, for some reason I thought of like David Axelrod or like Donald Byrd, like,
okay.
I got kind of vibes from that, but for Planet B, I just thought of Death Grips
it just stems from the hip hop roots.
Or even Beastie Boys a little bit, not necessarily those exact artists, but kind of the vibe and just
yeah. I mean, it just stemmed from the hip hop roots.
Yeah.
And then just letting Justin do his thing.
Yeah.
And then it just morphed into that, really.
Like the MC and the DJ just fucking.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking sick. And who's your favorite producer of all producers? Who's your favorite?
It changes.
Who is it right now?
I mean, you mean hip hop producer?
Yeah.
Hip hop producer. That changes a lot. What's his name? I forget. What's the guy who did all the Grave Diggers and the De La Soul?
I can't.
You know his name.
No, I don't.
I forgot his name.
I can't think of it.
We'll come back to it. He's always been my favorite. I mean, like the RZA, there's undeniably how dark he made all of his shit sound.
Yeah.
But I mean, Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
I mean, there's like the producers. That's like when I would go record collecting, instead of finding like, oh, the gene, I would always look at the back and see who produced what drummer was on that. Right. So if there was a record that I didn't recognize, the next week I would look at the back and I'd be like, oh shit, this is the same producer
Yeah.
from that. And then it just was like a big fucking tree branch
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. And then you start digging, right? You start digging.
Yeah, and then it broke out to this instrument, this drummer, and then this bass player, and then this album's from Germany, but it had this guy, so it was just like a big old tree.
Yeah.
That
Do you own a lot of vinyl? Do you got a lot of vinyl, like a big vinyl collection?
Yeah.
Or do you strictly sample vinyl, or do you whatever?
I mean, lately, over the last few years, I'll sample whatever I can. I used to have a portable DAT machine.
Yeah.
That I would have mic up and sample whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah.
Fucking slamming a dryer door and a washer door. But strictly, like, a lot of it's vinyl based. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy with technology now how simple things can be now in a way. Convenient, I would say, more so.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's always good, but it's definitely convenient. I'll make beats on my phone, and it's crazy that it's just that easy, just for fun. Just to get out ideas or
totally. All that shit is fun.
Yeah.
To use, I'm intrigued with all that. Like, for years, I had this app on my phone called Psycho Flute.
Okay.
And it was a flute with like all these crazy sounds, and I never applied it to anything I did. But I used to fucking have so much fun just playing with it on my own,
Yeah. What do you think? Were you inspired at all, like by King of Rock or fucking like Walk This Way,
that old school hip hop, all the old school hip hop.
Yeah, and Bring the Noise and shit. Was that too? Like
all of that,
the fusion,
all of that
like that fusion.
Yep. That's. Those old break beats is what I wanted to apply, but without the loops.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about like the mix of like hip hop and rock or metal, or like
I wanted it, but not like the way it was, where it like I think like the Beastie Boys were able to pull it off because they knew when to draw back and when to like bring in this and that. But at a certain point, it also transformed into a bunch of like Rage Against the Machine, and then like Korn, and then all of these other bands that was like metal rap, and fuck all that.
Yeah.
Fucking like that's where like I think the Beastie Boys kind of like, and I mean from their history in the region where they were at, the combination of hip hop and punk rock.
Yeah.
And the history of that, it said a lot.
Yeah.
But
that was a peak, I think. I mean, they were right on the cusp of the punk rock, the hardcore, and then the fucking, the birth of fucking hip hop as well. They were like right in the middle of all that shit, And I think and especially even with their instrumental albums, like out from the whatever that one or the two that they did, and they were just they were dope, like style wise, and I feel like no one can touch them, because of all that influence from everything that they came up with.
Yeah, they're very diverse.
Yeah. So I love the Beastie Boys. I'm not the hugest Beastie Boys fan, but I grew up hearing them, but it was like Fight for Your Right to Party and shit. And to me, it sounded more rock than hip hop, but they were like, oh, they're hip hop. I'm like, I was like, I mean, I've heard of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and I've seen fucking Cold Crush, and I've seen all that. I grew up with that shit, so I was like, nah, it doesn't sound like hip hop. But I don't know if that was just a commercial thing where they were trying to label it that. But once Paul's Boutique and everything else came out after
Paul's Boutique was the ultimate trample album.
That was hip hop. Yeah.
But they linked up with the Crystal Brothers and all that, and they were the ones I think that truly, I mean, from License to Ill, and working with like Rick Rubin whatever,
Yeah.
and themselves, and working with like beat machines and the 808s and all that stuff. I think like Paul's Boutique is just the ultimate fucking break album alone.
Yeah.
Like, which I'm really jealous of Mixmaster Mike, because when he had all those instrumentals, like there's no existing fucking Paul's Boutique instrumental album. He has the show wax.
Hell yeah.
And I always thought, like, man, if I fucking had the instrumentals of Paul's Boutique alone, would be like the ultimate album to fucking have.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, those are my favorite performances to watch. I'll still watch them, like, just him, you know, when him and them, you know, it's just like, ugh, I love that. It was so good. It's the best, dude. I don't know. Mixmaster Mike is just fucking so dope, dude. And he's got such presence, and he's wild, dude. You know, like he always says, he's like, I'm not from this planet. You know, I was like, I kind of get that, dude. But Qbert as well, you know, Qbert's fucking crazy too, man.
Yeah, he is good. D Styles, I think, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But D Styles has such finesse.
Yeah.
And just like
tight, very tight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knows how to like. He taught me a lot on how to you don't have to play every note, and I know that comes from like, you know, Quincy Jones or you know, Chick Corea or Herbie Hancock kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he kind of stresses that, and you see it in his music.
Yeah.
Just really good, because I'm very like, I'm gonna cover the whole fucking session with sounds.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it's time to like subtract.
Right. Minimalize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less is more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you scratch? Are you good scratch?
It comes and goes.
Push up.
I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
Every couple of years again.
Yeah.
I would like to get more into it, but there's just so much other stuff to.
For sure.
You know. Yeah. But if my heart is in it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
I love scratching. I watch everybody's fucking scratch videos all the time.
It's fun, man. It's fun.
Yeah.
I can do it. I'm not at all. I'm very low level, elementary school style, but I can do it.
Prince Paul. That's who I was thinking.
Oh, Prince Paul. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That makes me think of Handsome Boy Modeling School. Him and fucking Dan the Automator.
But he did that first Gravediggers album.
Okay.
Not going from this to that, but to me, like from doing like the De La Soul, which is so calm and peaceful, especially coming from the East Coast. Like it was too.
He did 3 Feet or.
I think he did.
Or Stakes is High, or even before that, maybe.
I know.
I don't even know.
Now you're confusing me. I don't think he did Stakes is High. Though.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know who was on that one. I would have to.
But I think the previous before that.
Okay. Yeah, that's 3 Feet High and Rising. So yes, he did do that one. Yes, he did. I remember. I saw. Because they just did an anniversary for it, I think.
Yeah, he was the one who pretty much introduced a lot of the skits.
Yeah.
And.
That's cool. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, let's get into some music. I always ask the artists that I interview to give me, 3 songs that influence them. One from the start, one in the middle, and one most recent. And I love that you picked New Edition. I was just like, oh, shit, that's fucking cool, man. Like, why was it like the first record you bought, or?
Yeah, it was my very first record.
Okay. Nice. I mean, what other music at that time, was it just like a pop?
It was just that, or? Like I would come home from school and put on, like I said, like it was like What's Happening and that, and like I think like they would have like this VHS 30-minute show with music. So I got very into like that kind of style as a 6-7-year-old.
Yeah.
And my dad took me to go buy a record one day. It was like, pick the record you want. And I was like, this is the one I want. Because I, saw that on TV.
Yeah. That's cool. So. All right, here we go. New Edition, Mr. Telephone Man. Do you know who did production or anything on this?
I haven't thought. I haven't even gone beyond it.
It's groovy. I haven't heard this song in a long time. They're groovy.
I regret telling you about this song actually because the last couple months it's been stuck in my head, like annoyingly.
Oh shit! Now you're gonna be fucking.
When I told you this, it was gonna get stuck in my head.
We're sparking it again.
I was kind of hesitant on to tell you about this song.
It's a good song, man. Shit, it's a jam.
No, it is.
I mean, it could have been Candy Girl, you know, that's a good one too. I want to know who produced this. I gotta look it up. It's not Quincy Jones. That one, no.
I don't even give it a thought, really.
You don't put too much time into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That just makes me think of my sister. It's funny. She loved that fucking song, dude. Cool. All right, so the second song you picked was King Crimson. Was it 21st Century Schizoid Man?
Yep.
Why this song?
That was just a transition from this is when I was from metal, and then in junior high I joined the jazz band and started learning jazz band and still had a love for metal. And then early into high school I got introduced to King Crimson, and it like brought it all together and kind of brought a lot of that influence. And if you hear King Crimson and you hear Planet B, like you'll get Planet B.
Okay.
Like
what
King Crimson is probably my biggest influence ever.
Respect. What were you doing in jazz band? Were you playing bass too in there? Or?
Bass, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Some King.
Yeah.
How did you get into King Crimson?
My friend's dad had a tape deck in his garage.
Okay.
And we went through his tapes, and that was one of the tapes. And
grabbed
we decided to take acid one day and listen to it.
There you go.
Like, this is it.
I've always heard of King Crimson. I've never really listened to them.
Oh yeah. They're good.
I didn't grow up with much rock music, you know. I didn't get into rock music. So I was probably like 13 and heard Queen for the first time. That was kind of like before Nirvana and all that shit. Like, I think Queen was kind of the first rock, like that kind of, I guess what they call it, classic rock. But,
King Crimson.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
It sounds like jazz to me, you know, in a way.
Yeah, it has, with all the sax, and like, I mean, they were the first ones to do it, and the way Robert Fripp mimics the sax with his guitar and harmonizes with the sax and does all that.
Definitely psychedelic, but like jazzy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The last one you picked is Mercy by Max Richter. Is some jazz shit?
Yeah, you should go. Like this song kind of is a little
long.
It is. It'll extend it to. So you probably might want to put it to like the
3-minute mark.
20-minute mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just so you can kind of feel it.
Get to the meat.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Start it from here.
That'll make a lot of people fall asleep. Yeah, right here is a perfect spot.
Is this from a soundtrack or is just original composition?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
That's the gist of it.
What's that?
I said that's the gist of it.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds very cinematic.
Oh yeah,
But
he does a lot of scoring.
Very
film
emotional.
scores
I
and
like
stuff,
that.
yeah.
I like that a lot. I felt that fucking hard. I got a little goosebumps, man. That's dope. I love that shit. Cool. So Variations in the Key of the Afterlife. What is this?
It's an album. It's an album.
Uh-huh. You just
I'm kidding.
Oh.
It's
an
just
album.
an album
Yeah,
I'd been
shit.
wanting to do, and Gabe Serbian and I just decided to fucking fuck around and make it.
Okay.
And
So is it all sample based or?
No, there's actually
hybrid?
no samples in this at all.
Oh shit, it's instrumental. Okay.
I wrote a lot of the music on acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Transcribed everything to like violin and cello and
Fuck yeah.
the horn section and
Fuck yeah.
yeah.
How long did you take jazz? Can you read music? Are you like?
I am a little illiterate to it now, but yeah, I used to read a lot of it.
Okay.
Then, yeah.
Do you know any theory or anything, or just?
I know a few.
Okay.
You know.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
It's just when I need to apply it, I'll apply it.
Okay.
It'll come back to me.
Cool. Let's hear it. Title track. Let's go. This is the one I heard and I thought of David Axelrod. I don't know.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one to make.
It sounds fucking sick, dude. Also kind of gives me some RZA, Wu-Tang type vibes too, but how did you do it? Did you, I mean, who played drums? Like what?
Gabe Serbian played drums.
Oh, he plays the drums on it? So it was just the two of you, the whole thing?
I mean, writing wise, the bulk of it is the two of us, and then Matt Rezovich came in and started when he was. I wrote a lot of the violin parts, and then he came in and started rearranging them, and was like, "Yo, let me like try this and this," and I was like, "Absolutely, do your thing."
Yeah.
So then he came in and wrote a few parts, and but yeah. It was just more like, I mean, like I said, the bulk of the album was written on an acoustic guitar on my fucking couch.
Crazy.
And
it's like,
and then I just kind of got the musicians to come in and play it.
And how long ago was that? Did you put that up?
I don't even want to think.
Oh, it's a long time. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, fuck yeah. It sounds fucking sick, dude.
Thank you.
Grooving as fuck. That's fucking dope, dude. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Let's get into some Planet B shit. This is Filthy Suitcase.
It was just fun. Like I picked these ones because the process of making it and the fun that we had of doing it with the variations and with this, and like to me it's more about like the experience of making the song. Right. And this one was not only the song but the video of it's just having fun and having a good fucking time with your fucking bandmates.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you guys create together? Like, or do you pre-produce everything? And
yeah, I mean, it just...
Do you have beats like ready to go, or do you kind of...
Yeah, and then I give them to the writer. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then they add their fucking flavor to it.
But it's being in the studio where the chemistry is, because I can have an idea and somebody can have an idea.
Yeah.
But when the ideas come together, there's a lot of difference of opinions and a lot of you just work it out. And something happens.
How much do you stick to your fucking plan? Like, are you a hard ass about like your shit? Like,
no. I mean,
pretty open-minded.
Let me ask my band. That's a question for the band. That's not a question for me.
For sure. Respect.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is fucking Sonido de la Frontera, fucking Cumbia Mundial. Let's go.
Pa' mi gente, traigo una cumbia diferente, bien sabrosa, bien picante, de continente a continente, llego pa' mover a mi gente. Si te gusta, mami, ponte a bailar, en Costa Rica, en Panamá. Si te gusta, mami, ponte a bailar.
The day I met Carlos is the day we recorded that song.
For real? So how did it start? Like you just, how did this whole project start?
DJ Unite was
Yeah.
spinning. This was at the old Landlord Gyms in downtown.
Okay.
Where are you? Where in San Diego are you from?
I'm in Chula Vista. I'm from Chula Vista.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where at? Where by?
Off.
Labellas?
No. Further south. I grew up off Orange, like 805. Off East Palomar, like in that area.
Okay, I know that area.
But I went to Hilltop Junior and I went to Hilltop High School, so I grew up all up, all up in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that area familiar. I'm from Chula Vista too.
Oh, respect. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm not Tanlin. No.
Right? You're not
No, I grew up all over Chula Vista.
Oh,
from
for sure.
H to in the South Bay. I mean, I went to Southwest High School.
Oh, okay.
Out in the South Bay and Mar Vista and all that.
For sure.
And then it roamed. I know all the areas.
Cool.
I know Hilltop.
Okay.
Whatever, but
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
In downtown Landlord Jams, DJ Unite was spinning a set, and then they had Vols Alta next door, and he was like, "Yo, come over. I'm gonna do a cumbia set," and I was like, "What the fuck is cumbia?"
Really? Wow.
And then he rocked the set, and I was like, "I fucking want in on this." And then,
so you didn't even know the style, like you just fucking dove into it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was just like, "Yo, I know this the fucking dude from B-Side Players, this dude Carlos," and I knew who he was.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, he came over to my house and where I had the studio at the time, and we wrote the song that same day. The day I met him is that's where that song is from. That was the start of the band. The same day I met him.
Trip out.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy, dude. That's fucking crazy. Wow. Nice. And now you guys still playing, or was it, is it just...
Nah, I fucking hate his ass.
Okay.
Nah, I'm kidding. We're working on the third album right now.
For sure. For sure. Cool. Right on. That's fucking cool. That's so crazy that you didn't even know the style, dude. And you're just like, fuck it, yeah, I can do that. Let's do some shit.
Yeah, it's right up my alley. Heavy, like just the shakers and the heavy bass.
I'm telling you, bro, when I saw the video, like I'd heard it first. I think Carlos had posted it. I was like, and I heard it. I was like, oh, that shit sounds sick. And then when I saw you pushing buttons and that was the accordion, I was like, whoa. I was like, and then you're telling me, you're like, yeah, I just did it. Whatever. That's fucking, yeah, it was cool. It's cool. It sounds good. It's fucking cool, man. Respect to that. Respect, brother. Cool, brother. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate the talk. Me. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you fucking hanging out with me and chopping it up, brother. Let people know where they can find you. Anywhere you want people to look you up. Where can they find you?
Like Instagram, Facebook. You can look up Planet B. You can look up Sonido De La Frontrera. You can look up Satanic Planet, Mr. Henshaw, all those.
And your podcast is Cult and Culture, right?
Cult and Culture podcast
on YouTube and shit.
Yep. All right. Anywhere you can find your shitty streaming. Whatever.
There you go. Yeah, your regulated shitty streaming. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate you, brother.
Peace, man.
Right on. Thank you to anyone out there listening. Anyone paying me with your attention. This is your Blue Dreamer broadcast. I'm your most humble host as always, Dr. I. Always telling you, stay tuned, stay connected, and until next time, peace.